everybody, and welcome back to Aamsuntitledpodcast. I'm Am. Hi, if you've never met me before, it's really nice to meet you. Welcome to my Percy Jackson dedicated podcast. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm not going to be able to beat the level of excitement I had in the last episode. If you didn't know, the official teaser trailer for season 3 has dropped, and in my last episode, I did review that, so please do check that out. We need all these ratings, we need whatever it takes for them to renew us for season 4 and 5 because honestly, guys, this waiting around, this limbo stage is not something I'm enjoying. Like, every day I'm waking up hoping that there will be some sort of content or like some renewal or something that's gonna make me so happy. And every single day, like I wake up and I'm disappointed because I'm like, oh, there's nothing yet. Like, what are they waiting for? But I understand that it's a big process, and I am just a little miserable at the minute because I just want there to be an official season 4 renewal. Like, even if I have to wait for season 5 to be renewed, like I just want season 4. Like, if anybody doesn't know, like Battle of the Labyrinth is my favorite book. And like if I've gotten this far and I don't get it, I'm gonna be so upset. Like, genuinely so upset. And also I can't imagine like there to be better people than Walker and Leah to bring this to life. Like, I love the entire Percy series team. Like, I honestly don't want it to end here. Like, I want to just go forward and just know that at least the first 5 books have been done in the most accurate way that Rick is proud of and that we're proud of as well. So I am feeling a little bit anxious. I'm a little bit stressed out. Like, I genuinely just need to be renewed. So if anybody is listening, please, I'm begging you, just renew us so that this thought can just leave my mind and I'm like, I'm at peace because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm being renewed for season 4 and this isn't the end, sort of thing. But yeah, sorry, mini rant at the beginning. That literally has nothing to do with anything we're going to be talking about in today's episode. In today's episode, we are going to be going back to the Mark of Athena book and we're going to be reviewing chapters 13 to 18 in this book. There's a few sort of Percabeth moments in here that I'm so excited to share with you guys. And in the meantime, I'm so happy that I can do Heroes of Olympus while we are waiting on the stuff for season 3. I'm really hoping that I finish this book just in time for season 3 because obviously then Heroes of Olympus will go on hold while I review the episodes from the show. I'll probably do episode 1 first and then episode 2, the review, I'll release the following week. But I'm not going to do what I did last time with season 2, which is I waited for the whole season to be out before I did the reviews. I think that was probably not the best idea on my end. So I'm going to try and keep up with it every single week. Although I will be working, so I'm slightly concerned about the amount of time that I will have to review it. It might be that it takes me maybe like a week to review each episode just because I only get like an hour each night. But regardless, I'm gonna make it work. You know why? Because I love doing this. I see so many positive comments and like people watching my videos and listening in, and that makes me so unbelievably happy. And it's just, yeah, it just revives the spark in me. And it's like, yeah, there is someone, even if it's only like a handful of people out there that are listening, it makes all the difference to me. So I wanted to thank you all, first of all, before we go on to today's episode, for all your support and for all the lovely comments and anybody who's asked me a question, anyone who follows me. I'm so grateful to all of you. Thank you for making me love what I do. And enough of the soppiness now because I'm not a soppy person. I am literally just going to move on for what needs to be said. So let's get into it. So chapter 13, we're in Percy's point of view. Also, always a great start to the episode is when it's Percy's point of view. Okay, so it opens up with Percy sort of having these bad dreams, and in the first dream, he dreams that he's drowning in mud, and it is revealed that he actually has a fear of suffocation, which I didn't know that before. Obviously, like, each demigod child has a fatal flaw that is supposedly their greatest weakness, but also their greatest strength. And I think like this idea that Percy is quite normal and he does have these like I know a lot of people that feel claustrophobic that are scared of being suffocated, and it's so nice to like see that Percy, who is this great Greek hero, has these exact fears just like anybody else does, which is quite nice. And then the second dream, he is in this underground weapons bunker where he sees the two twin giants, Otis and Apheliates, and they are planning to start the destruction of Rome. And they mention a jar, which is very significant, by the way. The jar is extremely important for this book, so do remember that. But Otis says that they need him alive to use him as bait, so the Seven will rush to save them. Now, instantly, my first thought is this person is Nico, because obviously Nico's gone missing, and they're doing whatever they can to find him, and Percy might have just found the clue to be able to get to Nico in time before he dies. As sad as that sounds, as sad and morbid as it is, that is what it is. Like, Nico could potentially die, so it's kind of a rush against time to get there, if that makes sense. And of course, they have a female guest, and she they don't really want to talk to her, but Percy sort of walks towards the jar and he looks into it and he sees Nico inside, which is like, I mean, like, this jar must be huge. So it's got, like, I know Nico's not very big, but like, come on, like, it's got to be a huge jar for like Percy to be able to look down and see that Nico is in there. And I felt so bad. I was like, the poor guy's been like shoved in a jar. Like, I felt honestly terrible. And a girl calls his name and he wakes up out of his dream. And it turns out that Annabeth has snuck into his cabin. Very naughty of her, but you know what? I will forgive it because they are adorable and she's my favourite. So automatically, she's not doing anything wrong in my eyes. Of course, I'm a teeny bit biased, but that's okay. I think anybody who has listened to me for so long knows that I'm biased when it comes to her, so I feel like that's okay. And she asks him to join her for a walk, and they go down to the second deck and make their way to the glass bottom. So if you don't know, at the bottom of the Argo, they have like this glass deck where you can sort of see everything and you can sit down on it, which I think is quite cool. Like Leo was very clever in his design. I can see why Annabeth approves of his sort of like architecture brain because I think that is so cool. And there's this really nice Percabeth moment where they're both just sat and there's like the whole world is quiet and it's just the two of them and they're talking about their past. And I pulled this quote specifically from the book because it is such a beautiful moment between the two of them. And it says, in quotes, and Annabeth continued, "It reminds me of how long we've known each other. We were 12, Percy. Can you believe that?" No, he admitted. So you knew you liked me from that moment. It's very cute. Like, it gets cuter as it goes along. She smirked. I hated you at first. You annoyed me. Then I tolerated you for a few years. Then, okay, fine. She leaned in and kissed him. A good, proper kiss without anyone watching. No Romans anywhere. No screaming say to chaperones. She pulled away. I missed you, Percy. Percy wanted to tell her the same thing, but it seemed too small of a comment. While he had been on the Roman side, he kept himself alive solely by thinking of Annabeth. I missed you didn't really cover that. Oh, can you guys hear like the fangirl? Like, it's really slow. Like, I tried to be subtle, but I literally can't. And it's just, yeah, I think that's just, it's such a beautiful moment. So simple, but it screams like waves of emotion, which is what I love so much about it. Like, they do have these larger than life moments, but it's these small moments that mean so much to me and so much to so many other people. Like, every day on my TikTok or on my Instagram reels, I see a new Percabeth shipper, someone who loves these two as much as I do. And it's just like these moments, like we're being fed because obviously the last two books were so hard, particularly for Percabeth shippers, because Percy and Annabeth were separated for so long. And I honestly, when I read the books for the first time, had no idea where this was going. Like, I didn't know if he was going to find her again. And it's just moment like this that make me appreciate them for who they are, and it shows how special they are as well. And there's not a lot of like authors who can create simple, very romantic moments. And I think Rick is really good at that. And I think a lot of that inspiration comes from his real life relationship. And I love that. I think it's such a beautiful thing. And it's definitely something that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Like, I know I'm not going to find another love story like that, but I'm so lucky to have found it so young, if that makes sense. And it really did inspire me to look for that in someone. Like, if they're not like Percy, I don't want them, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's just a really beautiful moment, and obviously it had to be included. And I'm sorry if people think that this podcast is very Percabeth. It always will be. That's never going to change. So if you do feel like it's a little bit too cheesy for you, I am sorry, but I just love them with my whole heart, and I genuinely want you guys to know that. Okay, let's sort of move on. The next sort of like really cute thing that happened in the scene is he tells her about the place in New Rome, and Annabeth couldn't really understand his attachment to New Rome, and she thought that that would be the thing that would drive him away from her. And I've pulled the exact quote of what Percy says to Annabeth in that moment. And he says, "But while I was there, I saw so many demigods living without fear, kids going to college, couples getting married and raising families. There's nothing like that at Camp Half-Blood. I kept thinking about you and me, and maybe someday, when this war with the giants is over." It was hard to tell in the golden light, but he thought Annabeth was blushing. "Oh," she said. "I'm sorry, I just had to think of that to keep going, to give me hope. Forget that I mentioned it." And Annabeth said, "No." God, Percy, that is so sweet. And you know what it is, and why that moment kind of makes me a little bit emotional, is like he's thought of this whole future. Like often, like I feel like particularly in this day and age, a lot of relationships, people don't look towards the future, like they're so concentrated on the present. And while it is good to be in the present, like a lot of people don't see a future with someone that they're with. And I think that that's really sad. And I see it so much, like all these years of being in uni and college and school and just seeing people just not striving to be together forever, like people just being with that person because they're just there. Like I feel like there's a massive difference between appreciating someone in the moment and just being too lost in the moment and not giving the future a second thought, because the future is so uncertain for everyone. Like no one knows what's going to happen. And obviously being present with that person is a gift, but also if you love them enough, you want to see a future with that person. And it's so nice to hear Percy say that. And the reason why is I feel like a lot of men, particularly, and obviously this comes down to like this traditional sort of masculine thing, which is like men don't, they're not emotional, they're very nonchalant, like they don't talk about their feelings and things like that. And what I love so much about Percy is he's very open with Annabeth about how he feels. And, particularly for their relationship, I think one of the reasons why they are so successful is because they are so open about how they feel. And Percy says it as well, like he's not afraid to say it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love him, because he's not afraid to be vulnerable with her, to tell her how he truly feels, and to say to her that, look, I do see this future with you, and I hope that you see it too. And I think that's why I love this moment in particular. Like it's such a good lesson to people now at this day and age. Like even though these books were written like 10, 15 years ago, like there's so much in them that we can learn from now, and it really opened my eyes, particularly this moment. It's such a nice perspective to have. Like I don't believe in just casually dating someone. I don't think that that's what I would strive for, because this is what I grew up with. This is the material I grew up with. You strive to want to be with that person forever. And I think that is why I love that moment. I hope that there's definitely people out there that agree with me, and you guys don't think that I'm sort of like some traditional old woman. Um, that's not what I'm saying, but I love that Rick puts that in there. It's such a beautiful thing, and it's such an inspiring thing to read. And yeah, it makes my heart melt, and I just thought that would be something good to sort of point out to you guys. And the next sort of bit is where he's talking to Annabeth about his nightmares and his fear of the giants and things. And Annabeth asks him if he has spoken to Poseidon recently, and he says no. Oh, one thing about Heroes of Olympus as well, like I felt like, like the Olympians, they're never really present in their children's life, but Poseidon was always one of the Olympian parents that I respected, because in every book he does make an effort to contact Percy, even if it's only once. Like he still puts that effort in, and he does that in the newer books as well. And it's almost sad that Percy hasn't spoken to him for so long, because every so often I do feel like Percy needs to see his dad. Like he needs to know that his dad is out there. Like even though he can't see him every day and he can't have the sort of conventional relationship that a normal person can have with their parents, it's important that he gets to see him even once. So like it shocked me that he hadn't spoken to his dad in so long. It's almost like, oh, what's going on? Like even Poseidon's like pulling away from his child. Like something must be really wrong. And then of course Percy asks about Athena, and we know the whole drama with Athena and Annabeth in this moment. And she tells him that Athena had said to Annabeth that she failed her and that she's been having nightmares as well as a result of that. And, it's such a hard thing. Like, Annabeth is such a perfectionist. And one of the things I admire about her is the fact that she always strives to be the best person she can be. And she is the most formidable demigod child out there. Like, there's literally no doubt about that. And the fact that even though she is so close to perfection, it is still not good enough in her mother's eyes. And I think that really breaks me because I have such an emotional attachment to Annabeth. And I see a lot of her struggles in myself. And it's so like gut wrenching. Like it's hard enough like when it's in fictional state, but then you think about all those people that do have those problems in real life, and it's just really sad. And it's like, these parents, like first of all, they're not present in their children's lives, and then they expect so much off them. It's actually unbelievable. Like it's not really like a giving relationship, it's more like a give and take, if that makes sense. And I definitely like, as I was reading this book, that every time I open this book and I know how Annabeth is feeling deep down, it breaks my heart a little bit. And I just, yeah, I just like in my head, I'm just like, why don't you just want your daughter to be happy? Like she's done enough, if that makes sense. And she goes through hell in this book for her. Oh, actually, she goes through hell in the next book as well. But I'm just saying, like, particularly on her own in this, she faces her own version of hell and the price that she pays for being a daughter of Athena. And yeah, the fact that her mother just sort of dismisses how she feels and just puts her two pennies worth in, I just think is a very unfair thing. And I'm so glad that she's opened up to Percy about that as well. Like, I'm glad that she doesn't feel like she has to carry this burden on her own because people can't. Like, genuinely, I'm one of those people. I don't like to share how I feel because I feel like it is a bit of burden on people. And I forget what it feels like to be able to offload to someone and to like just know that there's someone out there and that you don't have to carry that weight alone. And that doesn't have to be like a romantic partner. It can just be a friend or a family member or whatever that you feel that you can speak to. But it's nice that Annabeth sort of sees that in Percy, which is quite nice. And the chapter sort of ends with the two of them falling asleep in each other's arms, and a guy's voice wakes them up saying that they are in big trouble, which is quite a funny thing to end the chapter on because it was so kind of like emotion heavy. It was nice to have like that little moment right at the end where it's a bit more fun and a bit more like light-hearted, if that makes sense. Chapter 14, again, still in Percy's perspective, and Frank tells them that everyone thinks that they have been kidnapped. Oh dear. I love that they assume that, but also like it's not a completely ridiculous assumption given the danger that they've been in so far. So I kind of see where they're coming from. And there's this lovely Percabeth moment that makes me laugh. It probably cracks me up every single time I read it in the book. And it's the scene where Percy and Annabeth are being interrogated by Coach Hedge. And, Percy mentions that they have kissed a couple of times. And you know what? I love that because he's so like not ashamed. Like it's so funny. Like he's so like, what's the word that I'm looking for here? Um, what is the word? What specific word I'm looking for that I can't? This always happens to me whenever I go to record. I feel like I just forget these specific words. Like there's this kind of genuine pride that he has about being with her and the fact that she's his, if that makes sense. That's not the word I was looking for, but I'm just gonna sort of go there. And he's so adorable. It's like anybody else, like I would be annoyed that they said that out loud, but because it's him, just like yeah, he's so cute. Like it's so sweet that he's saying that. Yeah, good for him, sort of thing. And Annabeth sort of looks at him and she goes, "That's not helping." And it's so like yeah, it's such a lovely, like, it's a cute Percabeth moment, but it's also a really funny one as well. I quite like that. Like, we don't get a lot of those where it's like comical, but it's cute at the same time. It's nice to like have that breath of fresh air sometimes, and I'm glad that we got that. And of course, they end up meeting everybody in the mess hall where Coach Hedge has found out, and he's basically just overreacting, going over the rules. Nobody should be in each other's cabins, blah 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 blah. But yeah, I understand his point of view as well. He is the adult that is looking after 7 kids. Like, I can't imagine that must be an easy task, especially in the world that they live in as well. So he is overreacting, but I kind of get his point of view as well. Percy tells everybody about his dreams and Nico, and Hazel says that the seeds are what is keeping Nico alive. It puts him in this sort of death trance, so he can basically preserve his life form, if that makes sense. And obviously, Percy says to everyone that they've got to rescue him, like they've got to get him out of there before he sort of, you know, goes to Hades. And Leo and Frank are unsure whether to trust him. Even Jason agrees, and Hazel sort of storms out. And it's this kind of first like big argument between the seven, which is like obviously Leo and Frank haven't really met Nico, and neither has Jason, and he's a son of Hades, so I know that Nico is probably not the most popular person. And like the fact that Percy does a lot for the people that he cares about, even if they don't deserve it, if that makes sense. So I can see kind of the boys' sort of hesitation there. And I think the bit that upsets Hazel the most is the fact that Frank is sort of like, yeah, no, I don't trust him. And, Frank is supposed to be like Hazel's support. Like, he's supposed to stand there with her and say, we should rescue him because at the end of the day, he is Hazel's brother. But he doesn't do that. And I think she feels that betrayal, and that's why she sort of storms out. And Piper says, you know what, everybody just stop talking, give her time to cool down, and we will talk about it later, sort of thing. And then everyone looks to Percy for a suggestion about where to land. And Frank asks no, sorry. Percy asks Frank to join him while he scouts the area in Atlanta. And he says that he wants to take Annabeth with him, but Coach Hedge unfortunately has benched her, and he offers to go in her place instead. Now, splitting up Percy and Annabeth is not always the wisest idea, and you're about to see in the next chapter exactly why I've just said that. Because, okay, yes, they do get a little bit distracted because they are together. Like, that's just a natural thing. But also, like, they are such a great team. And 9 times out of 10, it is Annabeth getting Percy out of trouble, so it almost seems silly to not let them go together, but whatever. Coach Hedge is going in their place. We'll see what happens in the next chapter. Chapter 15, again, still all in Percy's point of view. This is a very enjoyable part of the book. It's all just Percy. I love it. It's almost like reading the first 5 books again. And they land on a hill in Atlanta, and Coach asks them where they should start. Percy tells him, when in doubt, to go for the middle, and they head to the presidential library. They meet Esther, who gives them a ride, and they ask her about saltwater, and she says that there are whale sharks in the aquarium. Oh god, there were so many hints about what's going to happen next. Like, even I don't pick up on them until I read through my notes, and I'm like, yeah, there were so many hints that were just very easily overlooked. So she drops them at the aquarium and gives them her number. Percy asks if anyone has any money, and Frank has denarii. Kate calls them Vips and tells them to go inside. Yeah, instantly, as soon as like there's like this urgency for them to get into somewhere, I know it's a trap, and I'm just like, great, this is gonna end badly, isn't it? Because they're just walking into a trap. And Coach says to them that Kate isn't mortal. Again, another big hint right from the beginning that something's gonna go ridiculously wrong. But anyway, she takes them into a gift shop and tells them to take whatever they want. So Frank takes some t-shirts. Good thinking. I suppose they're on a quest. They probably haven't had a change of wardrobe in a while, so that's probably a good idea. And Frank also grabs some Chinese handcuffs. Very important key detail there, guys. Remember those Chinese handcuffs. They are significant later on the book. I love Rick. He's always planting these seeds. They're always thrown in there, and people don't pick up on them. I don't pick up on them sometimes until I read back stuff, and I'm like, I see where that is. I love that he plants these seeds, waters them later. I love that. It's so good. And he puts them in his bag. Kate tells them that the whale sharks are peaceful, and she calls them her babies. Yeah, instantly I'm thinking how many ways this can go wrong. And like every single thought that I have is just things going wrong. And I just don't understand how, like, up until this point, like Frank, Percy, or Coach Hedge haven't picked up the fact that something is wrong. Like, they just carry on as if nothing's happening, and it's like, guys, the signs are in front of you. You've just got to hear them out. And this is where they need someone like Annabeth, which is where Annabeth sort of like is listening in, she's picking up on these clues, and then she finds a way out. They are not so much like that, but we will see what happens. Percy asks her about Phorcys, and she tells him that he is her brother. Oh, good lord. And he sees the hippocampi trapped in the tanks, as well as two nereids that were trapped as well, and Percy confronts Kate. She shows them her other sea creatures that eat demigods. Oh, delightful. Absolutely delightful. Whoever Kate is, she's not a nice woman, I can tell you that much. She's got bloody demigod eating creatures. Percy asks who she is, and a man comes out of the darkness who is Phorcys. Jesus Christ. And Kate reveals that her actual name is Keto, and that they have been training the animals, but they refuse to do tricks. To be fair, not surprised. The poor animals have been held in captivity. I wouldn't want to entertain the people who have kept me in captivity as well. So, fair enough to those animals for not listening. And they said that they were here to present death in the deep seas, sponsored by Monster Donut. Oh, shit. Sedona. Instantly, my brain went to the Sea of Monsters book, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like the Hydra fight all over again." And I was like, "It's coming back." And do you know, I really loved those references back to like the first five books. Like, it just makes me want to read them again because the first five are just banging books. Like, all of them are just brilliant. Like, at the minute, like, I'm so excited to read Titan's Curse again because obviously season 3 is coming out. So I'm like, I want to go back and read that book again and know as much about it before the season comes out. And it's just like I love that Monster Donut reference. I think it's such a good one. And it's just like I squealed when I read it for the first time. It's like, oh god, like that's just it's for me it's like a little bit of a blast from the past, which is quite nice, but also that was terrifying, that Hydra fight. So yeah, we'll see what sort of unravels next. Forces tells them to follow him to the VIP tour, Jesus. And he made the mistake of backing the Titan, so he was exiled into Atlanta. And Keto is, of course, if you guys haven't guessed yet, the goddess of sea monsters. Keto leads Coach Hedge away, leaving Frank and Percy with Forces. They tell Forces that Bacchus has sent them, and they try to sort of sweet talk Forces into telling them information about the twin giants. And Forces says that he taught the giants trickery. Fantastic. Now, not only did he back the Titans, but now he's decided that he's going to back flipping Mother Earth as well. So that's not good, is it? He tells them that Gaia has put a bounty on the demigods, except for a girl and boy, and he mentions finding a map in the Charleston Harbour. Remember that? That's also a reference to a Percabeth moment that's coming a little bit later on in the book, but we'll get there. And except for the boy and girl, instantly I was thinking, Percy and Annabeth, two of the strongest demigods out of the seven, but we'll see. And the fact that Guy has put a bounty on their head as well, like I instantly thought, yeah, they're just in danger, aren't they? Like they're gonna be killed. Basically, I just knew that that was coming next. And the chapter sort of ends with Percy asking if they can continue to ask questions while Forces leads them through the tunnel. Okay, chapter 16, still in Percy's point of view. And it opens up with Forces saying that he knows their identities and he tells them that they are very important prisoners that are not leaving. Yeah, I 100% saw that coming. As soon as they were being led into the tunnel, I was just like, yeah, this is it. Like they walked into the trap initially, but they sort of like they had plenty of opportunities to escape and now they're just stuck. That's literally what I thought. And he says that he wants them to fight each other for entertainment, but they refuse. Of course not. Frank and Percy are brothers. Like, they're not going to do that sort of thing. And the glass dome cracks over Percy's head, and Force is says that the tank has been specifically designed for demigods. Jesus, yeah. Not only did they walk into a trap, but they walked into a very like functional trap, you could say, that's designed specifically for them. So good on them for getting stuck in one of those, because I assure you, if Annabeth was there, that would not have happened. But anyway, Frank turns himself into a goldfish so that he can breathe under the water, and Percy tells him that they need to find a way to escape. He attempts to control the water, but it doesn't obey. Oh, that's a bit annoying, isn't it? Like when you know that the water is like your special power and that you should have, as a child of Poseidon, like an element of, what would you call it? Like authority over the water, and then it doesn't obey you. I can imagine that that's quite disappointing. And they can see Coach Hedge and they try to get his attention, but he can't hear them because obviously they're stuck in the tank. Um, and he sees that Coach has been guided towards the exit, so he hurls this giant marble at the glass to try and get his attention, and it works, thank God. Uh, then Coach, this is the craziest thing to happen in this chapter. One of the reasons why I love satyrs so much, because they're so unpredictable. Coach sort of ninja kicks Keto and she passes out. Ooh, the first thing I thought was if he, like, I can't remember where he ninja kicks her. I don't know if it's in the stomach or on the head, but I was just thinking, I bet that's left like hoof marks all over her, but oh well, she deserves it. Percy tells Coach to break the glass, and he then tells Frank to turn back into a human to help him break the glass down. And eventually Percy manages to control the water and they see the glass cracks, and it eventually throws Percy and Frank both out of the tank. Thank God it worked. Of course, then alarm bells start going off, and Percy promises the trapped sea creatures that he will be back to free them. You know what? It's such an important thing, such a little detail that so many people overlook. But I'm gonna just say this. Percy is one of those people where if he meets someone and he forms like this responsibility and this attachment to wanting to free them, and when he sees injustice, he can't just let it go. And it's so nice. I like that about him. And it's just like he makes this promise to make the world a better place, and he does, and he tries his best to do that. And it's one of the reasons why I deeply respect his character so much. And it's like these are sea creatures, like he doesn't have to give them another thought, but he does, and he makes a promise that he will be back to free them from their injustice, which is quite nice. And then he hears his name being called from the sound system, and they all run for the exit, and that's where the chapter ends. Second to last chapter we're going to be talking about, chapter 17. Bit more going on in this chapter. We're in Annabeth's point of view, of course. And it opens up with Annabeth, of course, trying to cheer Hazel up after the whole Nico situation. And Frank sort of bursts into her cabin, telling Leo to take off. And he says that they are being followed, and Annabeth literally doesn't have a clue about what's going on. She's like, huh? And to be fair, I'd be quite confused as well, because, like, they didn't see what was happening, I suppose. So maybe she's not going to have foggiest clue what's going on, if that makes sense. And then Leo sends Iago into the sky, telling him to set course for the Charleston. And eventually, Percy and Frank both sit down and explain what happened at the aquarium. And he tells them that the map will show them where the Mark of Athena is. And then Jason says that he has been on the quest to the Charleston before, where they were salvaging weapons from a submarine. And he says that he can lead a team through the museum to look for the map. Leo sort of volunteers to go, but Jason asks Frank to come too. Getting word vomit. Let's try again. Leo volunteers to go with Jason, and Jason, of course, asks Frank to join him as well. It's nice that they are making like their own team, and I'm glad that like a lot of the pressure is not just on Percy and Annabeth. Like they sort of take it in turns, if that makes sense. And I think Percy kind of did his bit like in the aquarium, so it's kind of nice that like Jason is sort of taking over because that's his area of expertise and he's done it before. If that makes sense. I love that Rick gives everybody moments. Like it's not just all about Percy being the hero. Like he gives those moments to other characters as well, which I quite like. Okay, so the next thing that happens in the chapter is that Jason suggests going to another place. Hold on, my bad. Sorry. Let me reiterate that because I've just made that up. Jason suggests another place that they could look into is Battery Park, where they can talk to the spirit. And Annabeth tells Piper and Hazel to come with her. So I'm glad that they've kind of like divided themselves into like the boys and girls. So the boys are going to do their bit and the girls are doing their bit. So it's like they work as a team, which I quite like. I like that dynamic that everybody works together and it's not about one upping each other or proving who's the best demigod. It's just about working together to solve the problem, which is quite nice. Leo tells them that they are being followed by the Romans, so he suggests a decoy to get the Romans off their trail. He calls on Buford, who I love, by the way. I just think he's such a great like addition to the characters, and um he Buford has this helicopter table that's carrying Frank's dirty laundry, and he wants to use the clothes to throw the Romans off their scent, basically. Percy has fallen asleep, so Annabeth is, of course, staring at Daedalus's laptop that he gave her as a present in the Battle of the Labyrinth book. And Annabeth remembers the fight with her mother, um, and she talks a little bit about the fact that she would visit Sally while Percy was gone to update her on the search. And, she spent a lot of time with Sally when Percy went missing because they were both trying to reassure each other that he was okay and that nothing had happened to him and that they were going to find him. And what I love about that is they really leaned on each other. They were like each other's strength in that moment. And it's so nice that because of the relationship that she shares with Athena, she's never had a mother. She's never had someone to be vulnerable in front of and to just look to as an inspiration and for advice and just someone to rant to. And I'm glad that Sally became that for her. And Sally cares a lot about these kids, and she always has. And I'm glad that Annabeth and her share more of a mother-daughter relationship. And she talks a little bit about when she ran into her mother at the subway station, and Athena told her to destroy the Romans and follow the Mark of Athena, giving her this silver coin, which is now like a curse for her. And, she asked her mother for help. She asked Athena to help her find Percy. And, you know, she got so desperate that she went to her mum. Like, she knew that her mum is a goddess. Like, if anybody could help her, it was him. And sorry, him, her. That's what I meant to say. And her mother disappointed her because she turned around and said to Annabeth to let him perish and that she had failed her. And it was such an emotional moment. It's like, that is someone that your daughter loves. Like, you can't change that. Like, yes, their parents are rivals, but you'd think that she would be more supportive. And, like, she can see how serious Percy and Annabeth are. They've been together for years now. So it's like, how could you just not help her? Like, she's such a better person when Percy is around her. And she doesn't have to carry the weight of the world on her own when he's with her. And it's just like the fact that her mother said to her, like, just let him die, I don't care, sort of thing. It was a real, like, slap around the face because for all these years, she's been worshipping her mother, doing everything for her mom to make her proud, and going on these quests to be noticed. And now, when she's finally being noticed by her mother, it's for all the wrong reasons, and she can't even ask her mom for help, if that makes sense. And it was so hard to read. And I did definitely shed a couple of tears because I just felt so sorry for her. I was just like, what kind of parents are these people? Like, genuinely, it's especially when she knew that Annabeth had been abandoned by her dad as well. Like, Percy is the only constant in her life. Like, why would you not just give her the help that she needs? I just don't get it. But yeah, it's this very interesting concept that Rick is teaching us about, which is like not everybody gets the support of their parents. Not everyone is lucky enough for that. And it's almost like he's trying to teach people that you do have to be independent, like you've got to be able to fight your battles on your own, and sometimes you can't ask for the help, you just have to do it yourself. And it kind of gives Annabeth this like hyper independence, and it explains why she is the way that she is. She's such a complicated character to understand, and it's so nice that she has these layers that we're able to peel back, particularly in this book as it goes along, which is why probably this book is one of my favorites, because it talks a lot about Annabeth and her life and the way that she feels and the stuff that she's been through. And it just makes me have so much respect for her because I know what she's been through, if that makes sense. Yeah, I was like a teeny bit disappointed in Athena for behaving the way that she does and for holding on to this grudge. Because, like, to be honest, do you know what it is? The bit that annoyed me the most was is like Poseidon has kind of accepted that Percy and Annabeth are going to be together, and in some way, like he doesn't explicitly say that he approves of their relationship. He just like lets them be, if that makes sense. And it's just like Athena knew how Percy felt about Annabeth from the Titan's curse, and she put him off telling Annabeth how he felt about her in that moment, in that book. And that moment pees me off every single time. I'm like, ugh, she just got in the way, and like things would have been so different in that moment. And it's just like now, like so many years have gone past, and it's just like the fact that she still can't let that go is just unbelievable to me. Anyway, let's move on because I ranted about that point for a long time. And there's this Percabeth moment in when she's talking to her mother after what her mother said, and she says, Percy is everything to me, and it's just like how? Like when your child is saying that to you, like how can you just turn your back on them? And it's just so cruel. And it literally that moment hit me like a ton of bricks. Like literally it actually crushed me a little bit because I could not believe what she was saying to her. And Athena just makes it worse because she tells Annabeth, to avenge her or leave, saying that she's no child of hers. And you know what? I did cry in that moment. So I was just like, how? These people are supposed to love you no matter what. And it's just like today, not only has Athena slapped her in the face metaphorically, but she's also like disowned her in a way. And like she was already going through a different time. Like she lost the love of her life. Like she didn't know if he was gonna make it back. And the one person that she thought that she could go to for help turned their back on her. And I think that's what made me cry. And it shows to a lot of people, like a lot of people didn't like Annabeth's character because of the way that she behaves or because they didn't understand why she was the way that she is. And what I like so much about this book is, like I said before, it peels back the layers of her character a little bit, but it also shows people that she is human. Like she does have feelings and she's been through these awful, awful things. And the one person who she turns to in the darkness is Percy. And he is everything to her. And it's just like, yeah, it chokes me up every single time I think about it. And it did make me cry. And you guys can laugh at me for crying over that. But genuinely, I know that there's definitely people out there who feel that way as well. And of course, then Frank comes in and he asks for help to figure out these Chinese handcuffs. Again, references to these handcuffs. It's so important in this book, so please remember that. And she explains to him how it works. It's so nice, it's like this little brother and sister moment. It's quite lovely. And then Annabeth tells Frank that he makes Leo nervous. And Frank sort of opens up to Annabeth about the fact that he has a weakness, but he will explain it properly to her another time. And what I like about that moment is he didn't have to tell her. He doesn't have to tell her anything, but it's like he feels comfortable enough to talk to her about it. And I like that moment because it's just like while she does have this amazing relationship with Percy, I'm glad she's built bonds with all these other demigods as well. She needs a good support system, and I think in this book she got that, which I'm always so happy about. And that's where that chapter sort of comes to an end. Okay, so the last chapter we're going to be talking about is chapter 18. Again, still in Annabeth's point of view, and it opens up with Leo docking the ship in the Charleston Harbour. Jason, Leo, and Frank have left for the museum to try and find the map. Annabeth asks Percy what he's going to do, and he says that he wants to contact the Nereids on how to free the creatures that are stuck in the aquarium. Again, he never makes a promise without fulfilling it, and I'm so glad that he is willing to sit back and just do something that he believes is right for him and to honor his promise, which I love him so much for that. Another little Percabeth moment, and it says, Annabeth kissed him good luck, and she said, good luck, seaweed brain. Just come back to me, okay? I will, he promised. You do the same. And again, like every single time she is separated from him, there's that fear that he's not going to come back and that she's going to have to go through it all again. And this promise, I know that he'll make. I don't know how to describe it. Like I know he'll fulfill that promise. I know he'll come back because he came back to her the first time. So why wouldn't he come back the second time? And it's just this beautiful moment. And I love that they still call like she still calls him seaweed brain. It's been so many years and she still calls him that. It's so cute and it's just solely for like her thing for him, which is quite nice. The girls then leave to find the ghost of Battery Park. Piper spots the ghost, and Hazel says no spirit glows that brightly. And the ghost is in fact Aphrodite, Venus in her Roman form, and she invites them to a tea and chat. Aphrodite tries to give Annabeth and Hazel some fashion tips, but Piper obviously interjects because she's like, leave my friends alone, which is quite nice. Aphrodite tells Hazel that she made Annabeth's love life interesting. You see, interesting is not really the word I would go for. It was actual straight up torture at times, with the whole Rachel thing, the Calypso thing, Raina thing, all the other women in the list, and a couple of the men as well. And it was just, yeah, it was just needed. And, she made my girl's life hell, which I don't appreciate, but you know what? It's okay. It's fine. I'm going to let it go. And then Aphrodite talks about the war. Um, as if it wasn't like one of the bloodiest wars in the history. And it's just like she says it in such a casual way, and it's like, are you okay? It's like, you know what? They get these gods become so desensitized to what's going on that they just talk to it about it as if like it's like a regular day, and it's just like, no, mate, that's not how it works. And Aphrodite mentions Annabeth's argument with her mother. Oh, and I was like, oh, why would you say that out loud? Like, there's no need to drop that in there. And it's the fact that, like, other gods know about it as well. Like, it's embarrassing enough, like, for Annabeth in that moment where it was just her and her mom, but the fact that other people know about it as well, even more embarrassing. So, respectfully, Aphrodite, shut up. It was one of those moments when I was reading it and I was like, oh my god, please shut up. Please stop talking. Like, you're actually making things worse. But anyway, moving on. So, let's forget about Aphrodite. And she tells them about a conversation with Raina and that the Mark of Athena leads to a statue. And of course, Aphrodite warns Annabeth that she will face her worst fear. So immediately I'm thinking spiders, and that like makes my skin crawl because I've got really severe arachnophobia as well. I don't know what it is. It could be the smallest spider, but it will bother the hell out of me even if it's in the room. Like I've literally slept downstairs in the past because there's a spider. There was an instance that happened to me recently, maybe a couple of months ago, where I had a shower the night before, and I have a shower every day. I don't know what, like in the mornings, because it kind of wakes me up, like it makes me feel better. And I went into the bathroom in the morning and there was a massive spider in the shower tray and nobody was home to get rid of it, and I literally could not have a shower. I know that sounds disgusting when I say it out loud, but genuinely I could not have a shower. I literally just washed my face, brushed my teeth, and I was like, you know what, I'll have a shower in the evening when someone can get rid of that thing. And all I could think about was the fact that there was a spider in the bathroom and I felt like I was gonna die. So, I think it was always quite obvious that I was a child of Athena, and I burst out laughing and I told my best friend this story, and he was like, I actually can't believe you didn't have a shower because you were scared. I was like, yeah, that was literally it. Like, I could not get in the shower because there was a spider there. Anyway, slight rant about my life there. That's not what we're talking about. Let's move back on to what's going on. And then Annabeth asks for the map, but Hazel sees the eagles, and she tells them that the map is in Fort Summer, and that they had better get to the ship fast. And that's where the chapter comes to an end. Oh, there's a lot going on in that. I did a lot of rambling in that. This was supposed to be a shorter episode, but I have just realised the timestamp on the episode. Oh well, you guys should be used to that by now. Let's kind of wrap this episode up with my final thoughts and feelings. Okay, so definitely lots and lots of Percabeth moments in this segment of the book, which I am so happy with. So many beautiful, beautiful moments that those were the moments I was dreaming of when I read the first two books in Heroes of Olympus, so it's so nice to see those come to life. Like Rick never disappoints with those moments, and I know that those two are the end game, and I know that they've got a future together, and I can't wait to see what that future holds for them. Keto and Phorcys, very interesting characters. I did wince when the coach knocked her out. I did feel a little bit bad, but I thought that they were really nice, like good villain. Like they were villains with like malicious intentions, but not like malicious intentions in the sake to like tear down Olympus. Like they just had their little gripes, which is, I think that's a little bit refreshing actually in books like this. Leo's Buford, very strange idea. I could see where he was going with it, and it was just like I said, it's comedy in serious moments, and I'm just glad that that is kind of sprinkled all the way throughout these books, which is quite nice because even though they are darker, it's nice to see the lighter side of things at times. Like the audience need what you would call like a bit of a respite, so it's nice that Rick gives us those moments. I can't read a book if it's too dark all the time. Okay, and we also finally found out what happened in the argument between Annabeth and Athena, and obviously that was kind of like this invisible string that had been planted from the beginning of this book, and it's kind of been watered, and we know actually what went down now. I do think Athena was quite harsh and she was quite unreasonable, and like I said, the bit that I'll just never understand is why she can't accept the fact that Annabeth loves Percy. Like the Poseidon and Athena rivalry was so long ago. Like it means nothing to the two of them. Like they're happy as they are. And, could she not just have helped her just this once? Like Athena hasn't done much for Annabeth anyway. So it's kind of like she's one of your best children. So why can't you just give her what she needs, if that makes sense? But yeah, I was really shocked in that moment, and I'm glad that Rick teaches a lot in that moment. And, this idea that, not everybody is blessed enough to have supportive parents, and that some people, their ego does get in the way, and their children often suffer for it. And that's exactly what happened to Annabeth. And it felt like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it really did hurt me when I read that segment of the book. And what I like about this is, like, Rick never shies away from telling people the harsh truth about life, is that some people just don't change. And Athena is one of those people. I think Annabeth finally gets that through her head. Like, she's forgiven her mom multiple times, and she's just said, "Oh yeah, that's just the way my mother is. She's not unreasonable or whatever." And I think today, like, now that she was on the receiving end of it, she finally feels like, you know what, I did so much and I got nothing out of it. And there's nothing sadder than that, if that makes sense. Frank and Annabeth are such an underrated duo. Like, they give me such great brother and sister vibes, and I'm glad they get along so well. And that bonding moment over the Chinese handcuffs, I love that moment. It's so sweet, such a simple moment, but I love it. Aphrodite is obviously a very strange goddess. I don't know how I feel about her. Like, in all these years of reading these books, I've never figured out how I truly feel about her. Like, I don't hate her, but then when she made that comment about Annabeth's love life, and like like she sort of alluded to that conversation between Annabeth and Athena, it did really annoy me. So yeah, I kind of sit on the fence with her. I don't know if I like her as a goddess or not, but she isn't the worst goddess out there. And of course, I'm so glad that Piper is so different, and it kind of like Rick is cementing this idea that not everybody is their parents. Like, some people are different, and Piper is the perfect example of that. Like, she's not, although she is a daughter of Aphrodite, she's nothing like Aphrodite, if that makes sense. Anyway, this is such a long episode. If you're still here, thank you guys so much for listening in. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed my review of chapters 13 to 18. Next week, we will be moving on to chapters 19 to 24. So, a good chunk of the book that we're getting through now. Um, I forgot to put a spoiler disclaimer at the beginning of this episode, so I'm so sorry if the book's been spoiled for you. You did choose to listen to this, so I can't really stop that. I will try to remember next week to put spoiler disclaimer at the beginning. Uh, Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're listening to me on YouTube. Follow me on Spotify, it would be greatly appreciated. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Threads to be the first to know when a new episode goes live. Both are at Aamsuntitledpodcast, and also for any Percy Jackson content. Any content that I get goes straight up on there. I don't think I have anything else to say apart from that. Yeah, hopefully season 4 renewal soon to put us all out of our misery. And I will speak to you guys very soon. Mwah.